On a gray March morning, 12 years after she vanished without a trace, a local fisherman spotted something strange tangled in the reeds along a quiet stretch of Florida's Gulf Coast. Before diving into this shocking story, let us know where you're watching from. And if you enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe. At first, he thought it was just debris, a battered waterproof pouch, half buried in wet sand. But when he pulled it free and unzipped it, he found a camera. Inside were photos no one was ever supposed to see. Present day, March 2025. The wind howled against the shoreline, carrying with it the salty sting of the ocean. The fisherman, Glenn Wilcox, 57, crouched by the surf, shaking water from his hands. Thought it was just trash, Glenn would later tell investigators. But there was something about it. Heavy. Sealed tight. Like whoever owned it, wanted it never found. Inside the waterproof pouch was a sun-faded Nikon Coolpix camera, still intact despite years lost to the elements. When detectives later powered it on, the screen flickered weakly to life. And then, the last known images of Rachel Price appeared. Flashback, Spring Break, 2013. Rachel was just 21 years old. A junior at Penn State University, studying marine biology, with a laugh that filled every room and a bucket list longer than her arm. She'd flown down to Panama City Beach, Florida with 3 college friends for spring break: sun, music, cheap drinks, endless sand. Her social media from that week was filled with carefree smiles, grainy selfies, and captions like "best week ever, smiling face with sunglasses, water wave." But on March 18, 2013, at 11:47 p.m., Rachel was seen for the last time leaving the Blue Lagoon bar. She never made it back to her hotel. Back to present day. Detectives sat in stunned silence as the recovered camera scrolled through the last photos. They showed Rachel on the beach, laughing with friends. Rachel dancing at the bar. Rachel walking barefoot along the pier, the night she vanished. And then, the final image. A blurry, disorienting shot, as if the camera had been dropped mid-run. Street lights streaked across the frame. And in the lower corner, a shadowed figure. That photo, one detective whispered, changes everything. Who was Rachel Price? Before she became the center of one of Florida's most haunting cold cases, Rachel Price was just another ambitious college student. Raised in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, she was the oldest of 3 siblings and the first in her family to attend university. Friends described her as fearless, a girl who climbed trees barefoot, swam in freezing rivers, and had an uncanny way of making strangers feel like lifelong friends. But beneath the laughter, Rachel was focused, driven. Marine biology wasn't just a major, it was her passion. She dreamed of working on ocean conservation projects since she was 12. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't careless. And that's what made her disappearance so chilling. The last night. In 2013, Panama City Beach was packed with tens of thousands of students on spring break. The air was thick with salt, sweat, and bass-heavy music bleeding from every bar along the strip. That night, Rachel's friends, Jenna, Melissa, and Kayla, told investigators they'd spent hours at the Blue Lagoon. Cheap tequila shots. Dancing. Loud, sweaty crowds. At 11:30 p.m., Melissa said she saw Rachel step outside to take a phone call. By 11:47 p.m., surveillance footage captured Rachel walking barefoot down the sidewalk, holding her sandals in one hand, her hair pulled into a loose braid. She looked happy. Completely unaware she was about to vanish. 12 years of silence. In the years after her disappearance, investigators chased hundreds of tips. A rideshare driver who swore he picked her up that night. A drifter rumored to have bragged about a girl on the beach. A bartender who claimed Rachel left with a guy in a red baseball cap. Every lead went nowhere. Her family held vigils. Her friends graduated, got jobs, started families. But Rachel's mother, Linda Price, never stopped searching. Every year, on Rachel's birthday, she posted the same message online. Still waiting, Rach. Come home. And then, 12 years later, the ocean gave something back. The camera's secrets. Forensic techs dried each SD card carefully, piece by piece. Miraculously, 48 photos and 3 short videos were recovered intact. The final video, timestamped 11:52 p.m., March 18, 2013, begins with Rachel laughing into the lens. Music thumps faintly in the background. She says something to someone off camera. "Wait up, I'm coming." Then the video jerks violently, and we hear Rachel gasp. The image blurs, a rush of footsteps, the sound of wind, and then, nothing but darkness. The scream, one investigator later said, it was there. But faint. Like she knew. Like she realized too late. Unanswered questions. Why was Rachel alone that night? Who was she calling when she stepped outside the bar? And who, or what, does the shadow in that final photo belong to? Police now believe the recovered camera could finally crack open the case. But here's the thing. When the images were analyzed under enhanced light, investigators discovered something no one expected. In the reflection of a shop window behind Rachel, a figure. Someone following her. For 12 years, the ocean kept its secrets. But Rachel's camera just opened a door no one was ready to walk through. And what investigators found next changes everything we thought we knew about that night. March 18, 2013. The night Rachel Price vanished started like any other spring break evening. But by sunrise, her friends would be giving statements to police, and no one could agree on what really happened after she left the bar. Panama City Beach, 6:30 p.m. The sun was dipping low, streaking the Gulf waters in shades of orange and gold. Crowds of college students spilled onto the sandy shoreline, blasting music from portable speakers, drinking from cheap plastic cups, and posing for group photos destined for Instagram. Rachel and her friends, Jenna Brooks, Melissa Torres, and Kayla Morgan, had been in Florida for 4 days. Jenna later told investigators, "It was just normal. We spent all day on the beach. Took, like, 1,000 selfies." Rachel was in this yellow sundress, the one with the straps that kept slipping down her shoulder. She was laughing, talking about how she didn't want to go back to freezing Pennsylvania. The Blue Lagoon Bar, 9:15 p.m. By nightfall, the four friends made their way to the Blue Lagoon, a neon-lit dive bar just a block from their hotel. Loud music pulsed through the floorboards, the air thick with sweat and spilled beer. Kayla remembered it vividly. Rachel was alive. Like, more alive than I'd ever seen her. She kept pulling us onto the dance floor, yelling over the music, waving her drink in the air. I thought, God, this is one of those nights we're gonna talk about forever. Security footage confirms their arrival, 9:14 p.m., the girls walking in together, laughing, arms linked. For the next 2 hours, they danced, drank, and drifted between the bar and the patio. The phone call, 11:30 p.m. This is where things get strange. Melissa told police that around 11:30 p.m., Rachel got a phone call. She stepped outside. Said it was nothing. She looked distracted. Like she wanted privacy. That was the last time I saw her. But later, detectives obtained Rachel's phone records, and there was no call logged at 11:30 p.m. Not from her phone. Not to her phone. So who, or what, pulled her outside? Before diving into the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with the latest stories. Conflicting accounts. Kayla's version didn't match Melissa's. No, she wasn't on the phone. She said she was going to grab food from the taco truck down the street. I told her to wait, but she just waved me off. Then there's Jenna. Rachel said she was meeting someone. Some guy she'd met earlier on the beach. She wouldn't tell me his name, just smiled and said, "Don't wait up." 3 friends. 3 different stories. And in the surveillance footage, at 11:34 p.m., Rachel is seen stepping outside alone, sandals dangling from one hand, phone clutched in the other. The last known sighting, 11:47 p.m. The final confirmed image of Rachel alive comes from a traffic camera 3 blocks south of the bar. Timestamp, 11:47 p.m. Rachel's walking barefoot along the sidewalk, hair slightly messy, looking relaxed, maybe even happy. But something unsettling stands out. Behind her, half hidden in the shadows, a figure appears to be trailing her. Investigators zoomed in on the grainy footage, but the person's features are obscured, just a dark hoodie and a red baseball cap pulled low. This matches the bartender's statement. I remember some dude watching her. Red cap. Didn't order drinks. Didn't dance. Just stared. But here's where it gets worse. When detectives showed the footage to Jenna, Melissa, and Kayla, none of them recognized him. The hotel timeline. The friends stumbled back into their hotel around 12:15 a.m. Security logs show only 3 keycard entries. Rachel's key was never used. Melissa claimed they thought Rachel was already in the room. We figured she went back before us. I even yelled her name when we walked in. No answer. We just assumed she passed out early. Kayla's statement, though, was different. I texted her. Like, 6 times. No response. But, I don't know. I didn't panic. It was spring break. People hook up, they crash somewhere else, you know? By 7 a.m., Jenna woke up and realized Rachel's bed hadn't been slept in. Her phone was going straight to voicemail. That's when they called the police. The search begins. By midday on March 19, 2013, local deputies were combing the stretch of road between the Blue Lagoon and the girls' hotel. Helicopters scanned the coastline. Dogs tracked the scent as far as the pier, and then, nothing. One of the cadaver dogs hit near a small inlet south of the bar, but divers found nothing in the water. It was like she evaporated, Sheriff Dan Whitaker later said. 1 minute she's walking barefoot under streetlights. The next, she's gone. Witness statement, the truck. 3 days into the search, investigators got a tip from a bartender at a nearby club. I was outside on my smoke break. Saw this dark green pickup truck pull up around midnight. Girl matching Rachel's description climbed in the passenger side. Thought nothing of it at the time. The problem? No surveillance camera caught any truck in the area that night. But in the recovered photos from Rachel's camera, taken hours before she disappeared, one frame captures the reflection of a green truck parked near the boardwalk. Coincidence? Or something more? The mysterious text. At 12:03 a.m., Rachel's phone pinged one final time before going dark. A single outgoing text message was sent, but never delivered. The contents? Meet me by the pier. Come alone. Who was she texting? And why does the number lead nowhere? Theories begin to spiral. As news of Rachel's disappearance spread, theories flooded online forums and Reddit threads. The spring break predator theory. Some believed a serial offender was stalking college students along the Gulf Coast. The Friends No More theory. Others suspected one of Rachel's friends wasn't telling the full truth. The wrong place, wrong time theory. A random abduction. Someone watching from the shadows, waiting for an opportunity. Police explored them all, but nothing stuck. A haunting detail. In one of Rachel's final recovered photos, timestamped 11:39 p.m., she's taking a playful selfie outside the bar. Enhancements reveal another reflection in the window behind her. A man. Standing still. Watching her. It's the same hoodie. The same red cap. And just as chilling, Rachel doesn't seem to notice him. For 12 years, investigators couldn't identify that man. No matches in the database. No fingerprints. No witnesses placing him with Rachel. But when they analyzed the metadata from Rachel's recovered camera, they discovered something unexpected. A set of GPS coordinates embedded in one of the final images. Coordinates that don't match the beach, the bar, or her hotel. Instead, they point miles inland, deep into a stretch of marshland known locally as Deadwater Creek. The question isn't just who was following Rachel that night. It's why her camera knew where she was going, before she ever got there. For 12 years, Deadwater Creek was just another forgotten stretch of marshland. Until Rachel's recovered camera pointed investigators straight to it. Present day, March 2025. The GPS data embedded in Rachel's final photos led detectives to an isolated patch of wetlands 9 miles inland from Panama City Beach. Deadwater Creek isn't on any tourist maps. It's a place locals avoid, a labyrinth of thick reeds, black water, and sinking mud. Detective Harper McKinney led the search team. She described the moment they arrived. It was silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. Just this heavy stillness, like the whole place was holding its breath. They had no idea what they were walking into. Flashback, March 2013, day 2 of the search. 12 years earlier, deputies had actually searched near Deadwater Creek. Volunteers lined the banks. Boats dragged sonar equipment through the channels. They found nothing. The search shifted back toward the beaches, convinced Rachel had been taken closer to the strip. But now, in 2025, the recovered metadata suggested otherwise. The first clue. As the team pushed deeper into the marsh, a K9 unit caught a faint scent trail along a narrow embankment. It led them to an area of disturbed earth, a place where the reeds grew shorter, patchier. The soil looked sunken, as if something heavy had been buried long ago. We thought, okay, maybe, McKinney said. But it was 12 years. No way anything survived intact. An evidence flag went down. Ground-penetrating radar came out. What they found beneath the surface made the search team freeze. The discovery. Roughly 3 feet below the surface, radar picked up what appeared to be a large metallic object. Digging carefully, inch by inch, investigators unearthed a rusted green pickup truck, almost perfectly matching the one seen in Rachel's recovered photos. Inside, mud and time had consumed nearly everything. But on the cracked vinyl passenger seat, they found a single yellow strap. The same yellow fabric Rachel had been wearing the night she vanished. 12 years later, the marsh gave up its first secret. Inside the truck, forensic teams spent hours dismantling what remained of the vehicle. Among the wreckage, they recovered a corroded key ring containing 3 unfamiliar house keys, a folded receipt from a convenience store timestamped March 17, 2013, and wedged deep beneath the glove compartment, a burned, warped cell phone battery. The phone itself was gone, but this was confirmation. Someone drove this truck into Deadwater Creek that night. Before diving into the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with the latest stories. Reconstructing the timeline. Investigators now believed Rachel likely willingly entered the truck sometime after leaving the bar. Whether she knew the driver, or trusted him, was still unknown. Detectives revisited every lead from 2013. One name kept surfacing: Ethan "Red" Calloway, a 27-year-old local known for his red baseball cap and his habit of cruising the strip during spring break. Back then, Ethan had been questioned but never charged. He'd claimed he wasn't even in town that night. But when detectives pulled his old DMV records, one detail made everyone's stomach drop. In 2013, Ethan owned a dark green Chevy Silverado. Tracking Ethan Calloway. Problem was, Ethan Calloway was dead. He'd drowned in a boating accident in 2016, or at least, that's what the report said. Detectives reviewed his file and found inconsistencies. No autopsy photos. No dental records used for confirmation. Only a single witness, a girlfriend who saw him go under. The deeper they dug, the stranger it got. Was Ethan really dead? Or had he disappeared, just like Rachel? Back to 2013, a witness emerges. In their renewed investigation, detectives tracked down an anonymous tipster from a 2013 hotline log. A gas station attendant named Vince Morales had reported seeing a barefoot young woman matching Rachel's description around midnight. She came in crying, kept looking over her shoulder. Bought a bottle of water. Then this guy, tall, hoodie, red cap, came in after her. Put his hand on her shoulder. She left with him. Back then, police dismissed Vince's statement due to lack of supporting evidence. But now, paired with the photo reflections, the red cap, and the truck, his account became critical. The recovered camera, one more secret. Forensic analysts re-examined the final blurry image from Rachel's camera, the one believed to have been taken as she ran. Using enhanced stabilization software, they uncovered something hidden in the motion blur. The faint outline of a green pickup truck parked at the edge of a dimly lit road. Even more unsettling, just behind it, barely visible, was the shape of a second person. Whoever was following Rachel that night wasn't working alone. Deadwater Creek, present day. As daylight faded, detectives expanded their search grid beyond the buried truck. 50 yards deeper into the marsh, a cadaver dog alerted again. This time, they didn't find a vehicle. They found bones. Partial remains scattered in the mud. Forensic pathologist Dr. Elise Monroe later confirmed. They weren't Rachel's. DNA testing would take weeks, but the discovery changed everything. If those bones belonged to another victim, Rachel's case wasn't an isolated tragedy. Patterns emerge. Cross-referencing missing persons data from 2010 to 2015, analysts identified 3 other women who vanished under eerily similar circumstances within a 30-mile radius of Panama City. April 2011, Samantha Doyle, 24, last seen leaving a beachfront club. August 2012, Leah Hargrove, 19, disappeared walking home from a bonfire. May 2013, Danielle Reese, 22, vanished 3 weeks after Rachel. All 3 were never found. All 3 were last seen near Panama City Beach. And now, bones in Deadwater Creek suggested a possible connection. A killer's playground? Investigators began to suspect Deadwater Creek wasn't just where Rachel's case ended. It was where multiple cases converged. The theory: someone had been using the marshland as a dumping ground for over a decade. But here's the chilling part. Whoever it was, knew the area well enough to hide things the police never found. 3 days after discovering the truck, divers returned to scan deeper channels within the creek. At 19 feet below the surface, sonar picked up a metallic anomaly. Divers descended into the black water. When they surfaced, their faces were pale. Inside a submerged storage drum, they'd found a second camera. One that didn't belong to Rachel. 2 cameras. 2 victims. 1 predator. And for 12 years, he's been hiding in plain sight. Before Deadwater Creek. Before the buried truck. Before anyone knew Rachel Price's name outside of Pennsylvania. There was a missing persons report. And in 2013, the first 72 hours of that investigation would decide everything. March 19, 2013, the call. At 7:22 a.m., Bay County Sheriff's Office received a panicked call from Rachel's friend Jenna Brooks. Dispatcher, 911, what's your emergency? Jenna, our friend Rachel, she's missing. She never came back last night. By 8 a.m., deputies arrived at the girls' hotel. Rachel's bed was untouched. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her sandals, purse, and ID were gone. At first, deputies assumed what they always assumed during spring break season. 99% of these girls show up the next morning hungover, Deputy Sam McCready later admitted. We thought Rachel was just another one. That assumption cost them precious hours. The Blue Lagoon, untapped leads. By the time investigators canvassed the Blue Lagoon 2 days later, the place had been scrubbed clean. Tables wiped. Floors mopped. Whatever traces Rachel left behind, fingerprints, DNA, anything, were gone. Bartender statements contradicted one another. One said Rachel left alone. Another swore she left with a guy in a red cap. A third insisted she was seen laughing with a group of strangers near the patio. But without surveillance footage from inside the bar, which had already been recorded over by the time investigators asked for it, none of it could be verified. Interview room, Jenna, Melissa, and Kayla. The three friends were questioned separately. Jenna cried through most of her interview. She wouldn't just leave us. She's not like that. Something happened. Melissa seemed detached, almost irritated. We were drunk. I don't know. She said she was grabbing tacos. That's all I remember. Kayla was the only one who mentioned Rachel meeting someone that night. She didn't say his name. Just smiled and said, "Don't wait up." Investigators noted Kayla's detail, but without a name, it led nowhere. Enter Ethan "Red" Calloway. 2 days after Rachel vanished, an anonymous tip named Ethan Calloway. Locals knew him as Red, thanks to the signature baseball cap he wore everywhere. In 2013, Ethan was 27 years old, unemployed, and living with his uncle just outside Panama City. He had a minor criminal record, trespassing, DUI, a bar fight. Nothing violent. Nothing that screamed predator. Detectives brought him in for questioning. Detective Harper, where were you the night of March 18th? Ethan, at my cousin's place in Tallahassee. Watch the game. You can ask him. Detective Harper, we will. Ethan's alibi checked out, at least, on paper. His cousin confirmed he was there. Case closed, or so they thought. The red cap mystery. Weeks later, investigators reviewed grainy traffic footage showing Rachel walking at 11:47 p.m. Behind her, a hooded figure in a red cap. They asked Ethan to provide the clothes he wore that week. He claimed he lost his red cap days earlier. No one followed up. The missed receipt. Remember the folded receipt found in the buried green pickup in 2025? Timestamped March 17, 2013, the day before Rachel disappeared. Back in 2013, detectives actually had a copy of that same receipt. It came from a small convenience store on Highway 30A. The clerk remembered selling 2 bottles of water and a pack of gum to a man in a red cap driving a green Chevy Silverado. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with the latest stories. The problem? The receipt was never cross-referenced with vehicle registrations in the area. If it had been, investigators would have learned in 2013 that Ethan Calloway drove a green Silverado. Instead, the receipt was filed and forgotten. The phone call that didn't exist. Melissa's claim about Rachel stepping outside for a phone call haunted investigators. In 2013, phone records showed no such call. But 12 years later, digital forensics experts noticed something early investigators missed. Rachel had a second prepaid burner phone. Her parents didn't know about it. Her friends didn't know about it. The last outgoing text from that burner, sent at 12:03 a.m., read, "Meet me by the pier. Come alone." Who was she texting? And why was she hiding it? The anonymous voicemail. 3 weeks after Rachel disappeared, her mother received a voicemail from an untraceable number. She shouldn't have gone there. Dead water isn't safe. You'll never find her. At the time, police dismissed it as a cruel prank. But in 2025, when investigators finally traced archived call logs, they discovered the number was once registered to a payphone less than a mile from Ethan Calloway's uncle's house. Internal friction. By mid-April 2013, the sheriff's department faced mounting pressure from media and Rachel's family. Deputies clashed with Panama City police over jurisdiction. Leads slipped through cracks. Tips went unlogged. Detective Harper Kinney, now leading the 2025 task force, admitted, "We failed her. We had him right there, and we let him go." The breakthrough lead that never was. In June 2013, a fisherman reported seeing a green pickup near Deadwater Creek around midnight on March 18. Deputies never followed up. Too far from the strip, the report noted. Unrelated. That decision, dismissing Deadwater Creek as irrelevant, delayed Rachel's case for 12 years. Back to present day, March 2025. With the discovery of the buried silver due, everything changed. Detectives pulled Ethan Callaway's old financials, hoping to track his movements before he died in 2016. What they found was unsettling. Large cash withdrawals leading up to Rachel's disappearance. Sudden unexplained purchases in April 2013, including 2 prepaid cell phones. And the most chilling detail. Ethan's boating accident, the one that supposedly killed him, happened just 6 days after Danielle Reese vanished in May 2013. But here's the twist. Forensics teams examined the second submerged camera recovered from Deadwater Creek. Its SD card was miraculously intact. There were only 6 photos. The first 5 showed another young woman, smiling, holding a beer, sitting on the hood of a green Silver Due. Timestamp, April 2011. The 6th photo? A blurred, panicked shot of 2 men standing near the creek at night. One wearing a red cap. The other, unidentified. Investigators now believe Ethan Callaway wasn't working alone. And if that's true, someone else has been hiding in plain sight for over a decade. The first investigation failed Rachel. But now, with every buried clue unearthed, a darker truth is surfacing. There wasn't just one predator. There were 2. After the spring of 2013, Rachel Price became another face on a missing persons flyer. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. And before anyone realized it, years had passed. 2013, the first summer without her. Rachel's parents, Mark and Elaine Price, returned to Pennsylvania empty-handed. They left Panama City with no answers, no body, no closure. Elaine Price, archival interview, 2014. "I kept thinking, maybe she just walked through the door. That she was out there, alive, waiting for us to find her." Every year, Elaine drove back to Florida to retrace Rachel's last steps. She'd stand outside the Blue Lagoon bar, staring at the patio where Rachel was last seen laughing. Mark stopped going after the 2nd year. Grief hardened him differently. "It eats you alive," he admitted once. "You start blaming yourself for letting her go on that trip. And after a while, you just stop talking about her. Not because you forget, but because it hurts too much to remember." 2014 to 2016, media fades, pain remains. By 2015, national coverage had dried up. The headlines shifted to other missing girls, other tragedies. Rachel's case became one of many, just another unresolved folder gathering dust in Bay County's records room. "We had over 2,000 cold cases," says Detective Harper Kinney. "Rachel's name sat on a shelf with all the others." Still, for the Prices, the nightmare never ended. Elaine started a Facebook group, sharing old photos of Rachel, pleading for tips. Some posts would get dozens of shares. Others, only 2 or 3. By 2016, even the Facebook page went quiet. The disappearance of Danielle Reese, May 2013. While Rachel's case went cold, another young woman vanished just 7 weeks later. Danielle Reese, 22, disappeared while jogging along Deadwater Creek Trail. Her case was filed separately. Different jurisdiction. Different detectives. No one, not even the families, realized the 2 disappearances might be linked. 2017, the anonymous tip. 4 years after Rachel vanished, Bay County Sheriff's Office received an unmarked envelope. Inside was a single photo. A green Chevy Silver Due, partially submerged in murky water. Scrawled on the back, "Deadwater holds secrets." Deputies searched the creek in 2017 but found nothing. The technology wasn't there yet. Side-scan sonar wasn't used. Diving teams didn't go deep enough. The tip was logged, then quietly buried. 2018, a stranger at the vigil. On the 5th anniversary of Rachel's disappearance, her family held a candlelight vigil in Pennsylvania. Among the attendees, a man was seen standing alone near the back, wearing a red baseball cap. Jenna Brooks, Rachel's college roommate, remembers him vividly. He didn't say a word. Didn't light a candle. Just watched us. And when I tried to get closer, He walked off into the parking lot. Security cameras in the church lot never caught his face. But multiple attendees confirmed the red cap. Detectives never identified him. 2019, the first connection. Detective Harper Kinney transferred to the cold case unit in 2019. Reviewing Rachel's file, she noticed something everyone else missed. A receipt linking Ethan Calloway's truck to Highway 30A. Danielle Reese's missing jogger case. And the unmarked photo of the Silverado in Deadwater Creek. McKinney wrote in her notes. 2 women. Same timeline. Same truck. Not a coincidence. She reopened both cases. But without hard evidence, her request for additional funding was denied. 2020, the second missing woman. In October 2020, Mariah Bell, 24, vanished after leaving a downtown bar less than a mile from the Blue Lagoon. Her case sparked brief national headlines, until the pandemic consumed the news cycle. Mariah's body was never found. Detective McKinney suspected the same connection. But by then, Ethan Calloway had been dead for 4 years. 2021, the creek speaks again. A fisherman reported seeing human bones along Deadwater Creek after a hurricane caused flooding. Deputies searched but found nothing. Months later, heavy rains submerged the creek entirely, erasing potential evidence. 2022, the breakthrough that never happened. In 2022, a retired detective named Lou Sanders claimed he'd spotted Ethan Calloway alive at a truck stop in Mobile, Alabama. "I'd know that red cap anywhere," Sanders told reporters. "I saw him. He saw me. And he bolted." Police investigated but found no trace. Was it a mistaken identity? Or was Ethan still out there? 2023, the Watcher emails. Elaine Price began receiving anonymous emails from someone calling themselves the Watcher. The first email read, "She trusted the wrong man." Weeks later, another arrived. "Deadwater is deeper than you think." By the third email, Elaine went to police. Forensics traced the sender to a public Wi-Fi network in Panama City, but the trail went cold. 2024, Harper's final push. Detective Harper McKinney petitioned to fully reopen Rachel's case in late 2024, arguing new sonar tech could scan Deadwater Creek more effectively. After nearly a decade of dead ends, the sheriff finally approved her request. By February 2025, a dive team uncovered the buried green Silverado, exactly where the 2017 tip said it would be. Inside, they found a folded receipt dated March 17, 2013. A single strand of blonde hair later matched to Rachel. And a second waterproof camera resting in the silt below. That discovery cracked everything open. Back to present day, March 2025. 12 years of unanswered questions suddenly collapsed into a single, terrifying reality. Rachel Price wasn't alone. Danielle Reese wasn't either. Neither was Mariah Bell. Whoever hunted them had been at this for over a decade. And now, thanks to the recovered SD card, investigators had something they'd never had before. A face. The SD card reveal. The card contained 6 blurry photos. Forensics enhanced them carefully. 2 faces emerged. Ethan Calloway. And another man, older, taller, and still unidentified. Detectives believe this second man isn't just an accomplice. He may be the true orchestrator behind all 3 disappearances. Which means, if he's alive, he's still out there. For 12 years, Deadwater Creek kept its secrets. But secrets don't stay buried forever. And someone doesn't want them found. For 12 years, the mystery of Rachel Price's disappearance lay beneath the surface of Deadwater Creek. But on February 14, 2025, everything changed. The discovery beneath Deadwater Creek. The dive team began before sunrise, their boats cutting across the mist-shrouded water. Sonar revealed the green Chevy Silverado, lodged under 14 feet of silt, its roof nearly flattened by years of debris. When they cracked open the doors, divers described a heavy, metallic stench, part gasoline, part decay. Inside, wedged beneath the passenger seat, they found a folded receipt from a Gulf gas station dated March 17, 2013, Rachel's last night alive. And in the silt below, they recovered a waterproof Olympus camera. The camera still worked. The camera's secret. The SD card contained 6 photos, each blurry and partially obscured by water spots. Digital forensics carefully enhanced them. Photo 1. Rachel at the Blue Lagoon bar, smiling, timestamp 10:43 p.m. Photo 2. A dark parking lot, headlights in the distance. Photo 3. A close-up of Rachel's terrified face, inside a truck. Photo 4. Ethan Calloway driving, his profile clear. Photo 5. A second man's reflection in the passenger side mirror. Tall, older, wearing a red baseball cap. Photo 6. A flash of running water, trees, darkness. Timestamp 2:12 a.m. For the first time in 12 years, investigators had proof. Rachel got into Ethan's truck. But the reflection in the fifth photo. That changed everything. Unmasking the shadow. The second man wasn't Ethan Calloway. Facial recognition came back empty. No driver's licenses. No mugshots. No social media profiles. It was as if he didn't exist. Detective Harper Kinney believed this mystery man wasn't just an accomplice, he was in control. Ethan was reckless, she explained in an internal memo. But this guy? He's deliberate. Calculated. Someone who's been doing this longer than Ethan ever could. The pattern emerges. Kinney cross-referenced 3 cold cases. Rachel Price, vanished March 2013. Danielle Reese, vanished May 2013. Mariah Bell, vanished October 2020. All 3 women were petite, blonde, 20 to 25. Last seen within 5 miles of Deadwater Creek. Connected to areas near truck stops or highways. Even stranger, 2 witnesses from Mariah's case reported seeing a red baseball cap near her last known location. For Kinney, the conclusion was unavoidable. Someone's been hunting women here for over a decade. The Watcher's final email. 3 days after the Silverado was pulled from Deadwater, Elaine Price received one last email from the Watcher. You should have left the creek alone. This time, investigators traced the signal more precisely, to a burner laptop connected to a Panama City marina. But by the time agents arrived, the laptop was gone. Only a single, wet red baseball cap floated in the shallow water nearby. The man who wasn't supposed to exist. Forensics teams deepened their search. They ran the reflection photo through Interpol's global database. One match came back. Not a name. Not an arrest record. Just a blurred image from a 2010 gas station robbery in rural Louisiana. The man's face partially obscured. Wearing the same red baseball cap. Local deputies remembered him. Called himself Tommy Ray, but no ID. Paid cash for everything. Lived out of his truck. After 2011, he vanished. The creek yields more secrets. 2 weeks after the Silverado's recovery, divers returned to sweep Deadwater Creek. What they found sent shockwaves through the investigation. A burner phone, corroded but intact, containing only one saved contact, TR. A hunting knife, wrapped in a decaying shirt, buried under rocks. And beneath a collapsed section of the creek bed, human remains. Dental records confirmed the bones belonged to Danielle Reese. Rachel's remains were not there. The timeline reconstructed. By March 2025, Kinney and her team reconstructed what they believe happened that night. 10:30 p.m., Rachel leaves the Blue Lagoon bar with Ethan Calloway. 11:15 p.m., Ethan meets with the second man at a nearby truck stop. 12:04 a.m., Rachel's phone pings near Deadwater Creek. 2:12 a.m., last time-stamped photo on Rachel's camera. 2:45 a.m., both trucks seen leaving the area by a traffic cam. Ethan's truck was recovered. The second man's vehicle? Never found. Harper's sleepless nights. Detective Kinney described being haunted by one thought. If he's been doing this for 12 years, how many more are out there? Cross-state searches began, linking disappearances across Florida, Alabama, and Louisiana, all along I-10, a known corridor for traffickers and transient predators. Some matched. Most didn't. The FBI steps in. With the second man still unidentified, the FBI officially joined the investigation in April 2025. They believe TR may have ties to a larger network, a loosely connected ring of long-haul truckers exchanging routes, tips, and targets. Leaked documents hinted at an online forum on the dark web where users traded information about isolated backroads and vulnerable victims. Deadwater Creek was mentioned 4 times. Elaine's breaking point. Elaine Price, after 12 years of holding vigils, finally broke down on national television. I begged them for years to search that creek. Years. And now they're telling me my daughter might not have been the only one. How many mothers are going to sit where I'm sitting? Her plea went viral, breathing new life into the case. The shadow watching back. The week Elaine's interview aired, neighbors near the Price home reported a black pickup truck idling outside at night. By the time police arrived, the truck was gone. On their porch the next morning, a single Polaroid photo of the family's mailbox. Scrawled on the back. Stay quiet. The hunter isn't done. Investigators now believe the second man, possibly Tommy Ray, has been watching the prices for years. The camera, the emails, the truck. All signs point to someone who isn't hiding out of fear, but out of control. He's taunting us, Kinney admitted. And he's not going to stop until we stop him. For 12 years, everyone thought Rachel Price's story ended in Deadwater Creek. But the truth is far darker. Because somewhere out there, the hunter is still hunting. 12 years after Rachel Price vanished on spring break, the pieces finally began to fit together. But what they revealed wasn't just one missing girl's story. It was a pattern, a predator's roadmap, and a network hiding in plain sight. The FBI joins the hunt. By April 2025, the FBI had officially taken over the case. Agent Nina Kessler, a profiler with 18 years of experience tracking serial offenders, was brought in. This wasn't a one-off crime, Kessler explained during a closed-door briefing. This was methodical, organized, and whoever's behind it has been perfecting his hunting ground for over a decade. Kessler noticed something chilling. Each disappearance occurred within 72 hours of large-scale events in Panama City, spring break festivals, college weekends, bar crawls. The chaos provided cover. The victim map. The FBI created a massive digital board mapping the victims. Rachel Price, 2013. Danielle Reese, 2013. Mariah Bell, 2020. As data analysts dug deeper, 7 additional missing women surfaced within a 75-mile radius of Deadwater Creek between 2011 and 2024. Most weren't connected before because they came from different counties. All shared eerily similar traits. Petite build. Blonde or light brown hair. Ages 19 to 26. Last seen near highways or rural bars. The pattern wasn't coincidence. It was deliberate selection. The second man, a ghost with a name. 4 weeks, investigators referred to the unknown man from the camera reflection simply as Red Capital. But by cross-referencing traffic camera footage from 2013 and financial data tied to gas station receipts, they uncovered a possible identity. Thomas Tommy Ray Dalton. Born in 1971, Louisiana. Former long-haul trucker. Arrested twice for aggravated assault in the 90s, charges dropped. No permanent address after 2008. His last known activity? A truck stop outside Mobile, Alabama, 3 months before Rachel vanished. Then, nothing. Until Deadwater Creek. The Deadwater tapes. The FBI's biggest breakthrough came from a burner phone recovered under the creek bed. Though heavily corroded, tech specialists extracted fragments of 3 deleted audio files. Distorted male voice. She's perfect. Petite. Blonde. Like the others. Another snippet. Same spot. Same time. Deadwater again. The third recording stopped investigators cold. No, I'm not alone. He's here. This proved at least 2 people were involved, Ethan Calloway and Tommy Ray Dalton. But there was something else. One voice was calm, composed, commanding. The other nervous, hesitant. Ethan wasn't the leader. Tommy Ray was. Reconstructing Rachel's final night. Using timestamps from Rachel's camera, traffic cams, and newly recovered cell tower data, investigators pieced together a near-complete timeline. March 17, 2013. 10:43 p.m. Rachel spotted on camera at the Blue Lagoon, laughing with friends. 11:07 p.m. Witnesses see Ethan talking to Rachel in the parking lot. 11:15 p.m. Rachel texts Jenna, heading back to the condo. Be there soon. 11:22 p.m. Rachel's phone pings near a truck stop off Highway 30A, not on the route to her condo. 11:28 p.m. Traffic cam captures Ethan's truck pulling into a dimly lit corner of the lot. 11:31 p.m. A second vehicle arrives, a black Dodge Ram. 11:35 p.m. Rachel's camera takes its third photo, the one showing her terrified face. 12:04 a.m. Both trucks seen leaving the truck stop heading toward Deadwater Creek. 2:12 a.m. Final timestamp on Rachel's SD card. After that, silence. Danielle Reese's last run. 2 months later, on May 23, 2013, Danielle went jogging along Deadwater Creek Trail. Her Fitbit data ended abruptly at 7:42 p.m. A hiker reported seeing a black Dodge Ram parked near the trailhead. He remembered it clearly. The truck had a red baseball cap on the dashboard. Police never connected it to Rachel's case. Mariah Bell's disappearance. In October 2020, Mariah left a bar downtown after texting a friend. Guy here keeps staring at me. Creepy vibe. Heading home. Her Uber never arrived. Security footage later showed her walking alone toward a parking lot, just 2 blocks from the Blue Lagoon. 2 blurry figures followed her. One wore a red cap. A disturbing web. Profiler Nina Kessler developed a chilling theory. Tommy Ray Dalton wasn't working alone. Through deep web investigations, the FBI discovered an encrypted forum used by a ring of long-haul truckers exchanging tips about isolated highways and vulnerable victims. Deadwater Creek appeared multiple times, referenced as a drop site. One archive post from 2012 read, "Shallow banks. Quiet. No cameras. Easy in, easy out." Another from 2019. "Dead water still clean. They never check deep." This wasn't one predator. This was a network. The Price family stalked. As the investigation deepened, strange incidents began around the Price family home. A black truck parked across the street for hours at night. Elaine's mail shredded and left on the porch. A voicemail containing nothing but heavy breathing. Elaine later told reporters, "I knew then, whoever took Rachel never really left us." The creeping realization. By summer 2025, investigators faced a horrifying truth. If Tommy Ray Dalton was still alive, he likely wasn't acting alone anymore. And if there really was a network, Rachel's case was only one thread in a much larger web. Agent Kessler summarized it in one sentence during a press briefing. "This isn't a cold case anymore. It's an active hunt." The face in the crowd. In July 2025, during a candlelight vigil marking 12 years since Rachel's disappearance, Jenna Brooks spotted a man standing at the back of the crowd. He wore a red baseball cap. Same build. Same posture. By the time officers reached the edge of the lot, he was gone. The theory no one wanted to believe. Forensic analysis of the SD card revealed something investigators had missed, a partial reflection in Rachel's terrified close-up. Not just one man. Not 2. 3 distinct silhouettes. An open ending. The FBI issued a public statement urging women along the I-10 corridor to remain vigilant. Multiple jurisdictions are now investigating at least 11 unsolved disappearances believed to be linked to the same network. Rachel's body has never been found. Neither has Tommy Ray Dalton. And somewhere out there, someone knows the truth. For 12 years, Rachel Price's family thought they were chasing a ghost. But now they know the truth. They were being watched by the hunter all along. And he's not done. 12 years. 12 years of dead ends, cold leads, and unanswered questions. And then, one name finally brought everything crashing down. Thomas Ray Dalton. But when the FBI tracked him down, they discovered something far darker than anyone imagined. The breakthrough. By August 2025, an FBI cyber team managed to infiltrate a private darknet forum tied to the trucker network. Through a compromised account, they traced an IP address to a remote property outside Bay Minette, Alabama. According to DMV records, the land was registered to an alias, Calvin Reed. But buried deeper in tax filings, investigators uncovered a match. It was Tommy Ray Dalton. The surveillance operation. For 2 weeks, agents observed the property. A rundown trailer surrounded by swamp. A black Dodge Ram parked out front. No visible neighbors within 2 miles. Every night around 2 a.m., Dalton would leave in the truck, always taking different routes, never using the same gas station twice. This guy knew he was being hunted, Agent Kessler later said. He was paranoid, and he had reason to be. The raid plan. On August 14, 2025, a joint task force of FBI agents and Baldwin County deputies prepared a pre-dawn raid. At 4:12 a.m., 12 black SUVs rolled silently down a narrow dirt road leading to Dalton's property. Over comms, Kessler's voice was steady. "No mistakes. No warning shots. We need him alive." The standoff. Crickets stop a dog's barking in distance. At 4:23 a.m., as agents breached the tree line, Dalton stepped out onto the porch. Red baseball cap in hand. He didn't run. He didn't speak. Then he smiled. "Agent Kessler, over comms. Don't move, Tommy. Hands where we can see 'em." Dalton raised his hands slowly and whispered something under his breath. Moments later, a muffled explosion erupted from beneath the trailer. The shockwave knocked agents to the ground. Inside the trailer. Once the smoke cleared, agents entered cautiously. Inside, they found a wall covered in maps of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia, marked with red pins. Dozens of SD cards labeled with women's names and dates. A locked steel case containing handwritten journals. But most disturbing of all, a single photo taped to the wall. Rachel Price. Underneath, written in Dalton's handwriting. First light, dead water. The arrest. Despite the chaos, Dalton survived the blast with only minor injuries. As agents cuffed him, he turned to Agent Kessler and said, "You really think I'm the one you want?" The first interrogation. Fluorescent Hummer chain restraints. Dalton sat in a stark white room, chains rattling softly as he leaned back in his chair. Kessler and local detective Mark Haynes watched him from across the table. Kessler. "Where is Rachel Price?" Dalton chuckled. "Dalton. Wrong question." Haynes. "Then let's make it simple. How many?" Dalton smiled wider. "Dalton. You're gonna need more pins on that map." The shocking twist. When agents analyzed Dalton's journals, they expected confessions. Instead, they found lists. Dozens of them. Each page was headed by a date, followed by 2 columns. Scouted, names of women, locations, and physical descriptions. Taken, initials only. Rachel Price's name appeared under scouted. Not taken. Dalton wasn't the one who abducted her. Someone else did. The real predator. Dalton finally cracked after 17 hours in custody. He admitted he stalked victims, documented their routines, and funneled information through the trucker network. But he claimed he never laid a hand on Rachel Price. "Dalton. I was the scout. I found them. Someone else, someone higher up. He was the collector." Dalton gave agents a name. Mason. No last name. No description. Just that single word. The vanishing witness. 3 days after Dalton's arrest, while being transferred to a federal holding facility, the unthinkable happened. The convoy transporting him was rammed off the highway by a dark SUV with stolen plates. By the time backup arrived, Dalton was gone. No sign of struggle. No blood. Just an empty chain dangling from the side of the transport van. The silent message. That same night, Elaine Price received an anonymous email. Attached was a single photo. Rachel, sitting in a dark room, visibly terrified. The timestamp? 3 weeks ago. The investigation explodes. The revelation changed everything. Rachel might still be alive. Dalton wasn't the mastermind. Mason, whoever he was, remained out there. But the deeper the FBI dug into the network, the clearer it became. This wasn't a handful of rogue predators. It was an entire pipeline. Deadwater Creek wasn't just a dumping ground. It was a hub. The unseen enemy. In the final moments of this section, we follow Agent Kessler driving back from the Bay Minette raid. She notices headlights in her rearview mirror, a black SUV tailing her for miles. She pulls off the highway. So does the SUV. Kessler grips her pistol, heart pounding, as she prepares to confront whoever's inside. Before she can react, the SUV turns abruptly and vanishes into the night. A text pings on her phone moments later. "Stop digging, Agent. Or we'll bury you next." Thomas Dalton was supposed to be the monster at the center of this nightmare. But now the FBI knows the truth. He was only the beginning. After 12 years of silence, 12 years of wondering if Rachel was alive or dead, her family thought they were finally getting answers. But when Thomas Dalton went on trial, they didn't realize the real nightmare was only beginning. The trial begins. On July 3, 2025, the Baldwin County Courthouse became the epicenter of a case that gripped the nation. Dalton faced 22 federal charges. Conspiracy in human trafficking. Obstruction of justice. Interstate transportation of minors. Possession of illicit materials. Outside, the courthouse was packed with reporters, news vans, and protesters. Some held signs demanding justice for Rachel. Others held ones that read, "Where's Mason?" Elaine Price takes the stand. When Rachel's mother took the stand, the courtroom went silent. Prosecutor. "Mrs. Price, when was the last time you spoke to your daughter?" Elaine's voice cracked as she answered. "Elaine. March 15, 2013. She said she was having the time of her life. She told me she'd see me in a week." The prosecutor carefully placed a printed screenshot of the anonymous photo sent weeks earlier on the evidence projector. Prosecutor. "Do you recognize this person?" Elaine nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Elaine. That's my baby. That's Rachel." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Dalton's defense strategy. Dalton's defense attorneys painted him as a middleman, not the predator. They claimed he provided information but never touched anyone. Defense attorney. "Ladies and gentlemen, my client is not a monster. He is a cog in a machine. The true architect is still out there." The prosecutor objected, but Dalton's testimony stunned the room. Dalton speaks. When he took the stand, Dalton's tone was cold, detached, almost clinical. Dalton. I found them. I followed them. I sent their names up the chain. But I didn't take Rachel. Mason did. The courtroom erupted. Prosecutor. Mr. Dalton, who is Mason? Dalton smirked. Dalton. That's the thing. If I tell you, I'm dead before sundown. If I don't, Rachel's already dead. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with the latest stories. The hidden network revealed. FBI cybercrime specialists testified that Dalton was connected to a multi-state trafficking syndicate operating along major interstate trucking routes. Deadwater Creek wasn't random. It was one of 9 known disposal sites. On a map presented to the jury, each location formed a rough corridor stretching from Florida to Texas. In total, 31 women had vanished along that corridor since 2009. Rachel's disappearance wasn't isolated. She was part of a pattern. The email that shook the courtroom. On the 3rd week of trial, prosecutors introduced new evidence. A fresh anonymous email sent to the FBI's task force, while the trial was ongoing. Attached was a video clip, less than 15 seconds long. Rachel. Bound to a chair. Eyes wide, breathing ragged. A distorted voice whispered from behind the camera. Stop asking about Mason. The jury freezes. The judge immediately called a recess. The courtroom fell into chaos. Elaine Price collapsed into the arms of her son, Michael. Reporters scrambled out to break the story. But behind closed doors, federal agents debated one thing. Was this video authentic, or staged? Experts concluded it was real, timestamped just 9 days earlier. Rachel was alive. The unexpected verdict. After 6 weeks of testimony, Dalton was convicted on 17 of 22 counts, sentenced to life without parole. But it didn't feel like a victory. Because everyone now understood something chilling. Dalton wasn't the top of the chain. He wasn't even close. The aftermath. In the weeks following the trial, Elaine Price began receiving cryptic packages. A single shoelace tied in a sailor's knot. A Polaroid of Rachel's college ID, snapped against a rusted chain-link fence. And finally, a GPS coordinate scribbled on the back of a postcard depicting Deadwater Creek. When the FBI checked the location, they found nothing but an abandoned rest stop. But under one of the bathroom stalls, carved into the wood. She's still breathing. The bigger picture. By January 2026, federal investigators confirmed what Dalton hinted at. The person known only as Mason was coordinating a nationwide network. He wasn't a ghost. He was protected. And now, someone inside law enforcement suspected internal leaks. Every time the FBI made a move, Mason's people were one step ahead. For 12 years, the Price family believed Rachel was gone forever. Now, they know she's alive. But somewhere in the shadows, someone is hunting her, and anyone trying to bring her home. The FBI finally uncovers Mason's possible identity, a single blurry surveillance photo showing him boarding a private jet. Next stop, Mexico City. But before they can act, Agent Kessler vanishes. Her car is found abandoned on a rural highway, engine still running. 12 years ago, Rachel Price vanished during spring break. Her family prayed for answers. They begged for justice. And after all these years, they finally got something they never expected. Hope. Elaine's final words. Interior a Price family home at night. Elaine Price sits alone at her kitchen table, hands wrapped around a chipped mug of tea. Her voice is raw, fragile. Elaine. People keep asking me if I believe she's alive. I don't have to believe it. I know. She glances toward a corkboard on the wall, filled with printed photos, letters, and the cryptic packages she's received since Dalton's trial. One item stands out. A postcard of Deadwater Creek with the words "She's still breathing" carved into it. Agent Kessler's descent. While Elaine clings to hope, Agent Lena Kessler becomes obsessed. Her apartment walls are covered with maps, surveillance photos, and red threads connecting dozens of missing women. One night, she notices something strange in the FBI's internal database. Rachel Price's file has been flagged by someone inside the bureau. She makes a call to her partner, Detective Haynes. Kessler, whispering. Someone scrubbing evidence. Someone in the FBI is working for Mason. That night, Kessler drives out to a rural Alabama highway, following a lead on Mason's location. She never makes it back. Her SUV is found idling on the roadside at dawn. Driver's door open. Pistol on the seat. No blood. No Kessler. The video that changes everything. 2 weeks later, Elaine receives a burned DVD in an unmarked envelope. There's no note, no return address. On it, a grainy 45-second video. Rachel. Sitting in a dimly lit room. She's thinner, gaunt, eyes sunken. She looks directly at the camera and whispers, "Mom, stop looking for me. Please. Or they'll kill us both." The video cuts abruptly. The name behind the curtain. Meanwhile, the FBI's cybercrime division cracks an encrypted ledger recovered from Dalton's journals. Inside is a single contact labeled M. The last logged transaction. $4.2 million wired offshore, just 3 days after Dalton's arrest. And next to it, an address. Not a personal one. Not a hideout. A government facility in Langley, Virginia. Rachel Price wasn't the first. She wasn't the last. And now, it seems Mason isn't hiding from law enforcement. He might be working with them. Timestamp, February 9, 2026. A man in a dark suit moves briskly through the private terminal. The camera catches only half his face. But pinned to his lapel is an FBI badge. The system logs his name automatically as he boards a private jet. Mason. Rachel's still out there. Agent Kessler is missing. And the man at the center of it all might be sitting inside the very agency sworn to stop him.